the last 25 years, I think the most significant change for our journal is that there's been an increased focus on maintaining scientific rigor of the scientific manuscripts we publish.
When the journal started many years ago, the American Society of Colon and Rectal Surgeons was actually a relatively small society and had a very limited footing in the academic world. We managed through conscious effort to make the journal academically more rigorous and more selective in the manuscripts that we accepted. There was a day when it was relatively easy to get manuscripts into the journal. Some of it was almost honorary in some cases, where a well-known group would bring whatever they wanted to write about, and the journal would automatically take it.
Well, there have been a lot of changes to diseases of colon and rectum over the last 25 years. I mean, during that time, it went from a print-only journal to something that now is both print and online.
We have now gone to a web-based application. Our website has been modernized by Susan Galandiuk and is now very interactive with videos and all sorts of other offerings.
25 years ago, everything about reviewing manuscripts was basically done by postal mail. Authors would send manuscripts to the journal by mail. The journal would then send manuscripts by mail to reviewers to review. They'd send their comments back. Everything took a long time. Now everything is done electronically in a fraction of the time.
We took ourselves more seriously. We decided to be more selective. There were whole classes of articles that we stopped publishing. For example, when I was a trainee, the journal always had several case reports in it. Those can be inherently interesting, but they're not scientifically terribly important.
There has been an increased focus on making sure that the manuscripts that are published have the appropriate methodology, that the author's conclusions are supported by the data, and we are sending the right message to the readership of the journal. There have been training programs set up for reviewers. Susan Galandiuk has done a great job with this. There are the Reviewers Guild. People who do great reviews are now rewarded. There's the Star Award and the FASCRS Award. So we're doing a better job of training our reviewers and also acknowledging their efforts.
The other thing that we did during my tenure was to redesign the journal. So the journal, when I took it over, had a pretty loosey-goosey approach to tables and figures, and there was a great deal of non-uniformity. It was sort of an old-fashioned look, but also it wasn't particularly rigorous looking.
Susan has also worked to increase the types and variety of offerings of the journal. There are special pieces for residents, for example, Residents Corner, editorials, etc.
Our journal is really a global journal.
In the last 25 years, DCR has really worked to increase engagement not only with ASCRS members in the United States, but beyond.
As we were able to push up the impact factor of DCNR, we actually were able to attract more international publications and also attract more international leaders to serve on our editorial board and set an example for others.
Nearly a third of our editorial board members are from outside the United States, and I think that really is important. That really started, I think, with Victor Fazio, who was one of the previous editors of the journal, who was, I think, one of the first people who actually started having more of an international approach.
We've worked with international colorectal surgical societies, and DCR is now accessed frequently by people around the world.
We actually have a Spanish edition, we have a Chinese edition, we have more global content. If you look, for example, at our DCR website, 64% of the visitors of the website are actually from outside of the United States. So we have now, I would say, a global reach.
It's always hazardous to try and predict the future.
I think the next 25 years will be an exciting time for medical publishing. We've already seen great changes. We've changed the financial model of how journals work. In the old days, advertisers would pay for pages of ads in the journal. Now most of the revenue comes from selling the journal directly to institutions and libraries, either as a standalone or in a collection.
More and more, the full range of video capabilities are being integrated into journals, and I think we'll continue to see that in one form or another.
I think as we look toward the next 25 years, I think we'll continue having a greater outreach internationally. I think we'll also perhaps, I hope, have a greater outreach to other disciplines. For example, gastroenterology, more outreach to general surgeons. I think we'll have, I hope, a greater connectivity to patients as well, and more information on our website and in our journal for patients as well.
Certainly with the advent of just Google search engine way back when, patients come having read a lot of things, and there's the usual mix of information and misinformation that's available on the web. And that will be accelerated, I presume, by AI. And there will be challenges to the authorship of who's actually writing the papers. Is this something that you tell ChatGPT, write me a paper on anal fistula or whatever it is, and who actually ensures that what ChatGPT comes up with is actually fully legitimate?